This is Hannibal here, wearing my Hannibal 420 sweater. And I actually need that after that Fast 9 movie that I saw earlier tonight. Got the receipt right here. I did sleep through most of it, but I'll give my review after I say the news, which coincidentally, as I'm watching John Cena's Fast 9 movie, he returns to WWE at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view from Fort Worth, Texas, which is a city connected to Dallas, Texas, where they're going to be tomorrow night for Raw, where apparently John Cena is also going to be at Raw tomorrow night, kicking off the show. So with Cena and Goldberg returning to Raw, I would predict that's going to be one of the highest ratings they've had in a while, possibly in the entire year, not to mention it's the first Raw back with fans. So I guess Cena confronted Roman Reigns on the pay-per-view, and there's been talk ever since they announced SummerSlam in Las Vegas, the stadium there, in front of 40,000 people, that was probably going to be Cena against Reigns. And people are predicting it'll be Goldberg against Lashley. I guess the Usos also won the tag team championships on this Money in the Bank pay-per-view, despite the drunk driving charge that one of them got a couple of weeks ago. And that's interesting because the last time one of them had a drunk driving charge, and I'm sorry, I don't know which one it is, so I'll be vague on this. I think it was Jimmy, but he had to take a suspension from WWE. So this time, WWE didn't make a statement about it, and it seems like they're the tag team champions now. So it looks like this might be overlooked. There is a rumor that it's going to be The Rock with one of the Usos against Roman Reigns and the other one at next year's WrestleMania, also in Texas. A big wrestling state. Wrestling's on fire in Texas, as they say, which reminds me people should subscribe to the World Class Pro Wrestling channel that I'm helping get going right now. And it, of course, operates in Texas as well. But their first event's going to be in Wichita, October 3rd. More information on that coming soon. But yes, as I said, I did see the Fast 9 last night, I guess at 10, because it's 1:30 right now. And what did I notice weird about it? I guess John Cena is in it, playing Vin Diesel's brother. Charlize Theron, I guess, at one point is kidnapped by, or being held hostage by, this evil rich kid who's the heel in the movie. And she's in like this glass cell, which doesn't appear to have a bathroom. So every time they put her on there, all I kept thinking about is she's in this glass cell with all the security around it, but doesn't appear to be a bathroom in the cell. So that was weird. I have to say, I fell asleep through most of this movie. I found it very boring. So the parts that I was awake in was hard to keep track of because I got a little lost. But at one point I woke up and two of the good guys are driving a car in space to try and knock out a satellite. And that lost me. That's like, just like in wrestling, when something is too unbelievable. Speaking to John Cena, like the match with Cena and the Fiend, when they're vaporizing in midair, when someone's going through a pin and then they suddenly are in one location, then they're in another. That takes me out of a wrestling match, stuff that isn't believable. And just like in a movie, they're driving a car in space. That just took me right out of it, and I wanted to leave at that moment, but that was luckily towards the end. And John Cena, who was seemingly against them through most of the movie, ends up being friends with Vin Diesel at the end. And Cena thought that Vin Diesel was the favorite of the father who died. And then Vin Diesel says at the end that he loved us both equally. And then later on, and then Cena drives away. Vin Diesel gives Cena a car. Then later on, all the good guys are having a barbecue. And Vin Diesel, I think it was his daughter. Again, it was hard to follow some of this because I kept falling asleep. But I think it was his daughter that was going to say grace. And then there's like one seat missing at the table. And they look at it as if, well, we can't say grace yet. There's one seat missing. And then someone says he's on his way. And then that's the end of it. And you see a car zooming towards a house where you don't know, I guess, if it's The Rock or John Cena. I guess that's what came to mind when I saw the car. But it just goes to the credits there. So, yeah, not my favorite. The only reason I didn't actually want to go see it that bad, but the theaters just opened here in Ontario this week. Same with Jim's this Friday. So I haven't been to a movie since the Bill and Ted abortion that I saw a long time ago. So I just wanted to go to see a movie. And because I'm obviously a wrestling fan, I went to see the one with John Cena. And I didn't think he was a bad actor, by the way. He's a very good actor, in my opinion. And again, if you like cars, you'll like the film. But when they're driving in space, I'm sorry, that just loses me. Mike is tipping me $2 and says, "Doink the Clown" for the 2022 Hall of Fame. Now, are you talking about Matt Bourne? Are you talking about Skinner, Steve Kern, who also played Doink? Are you talking about Otis Apollo? I believe that was one of the Doinks. Let me just see here. Mike, I'm curious to know how many people played Doink. Let's look this up. There's so many on the independent scene. I remember at one point on his contract, Honky Tonk Man had a contract that when he went to wrestle, he would not wrestle any doinks or clown wrestlers. That is a shoot. That was in his standard wrestling appearance demand letter. All right, let's go through the doinks. Matt Osborne was the original doink, left the WWE in December 93 and died in 2013. Steve Kern was also a doink. He played the doink at WrestleMania 9 and occasionally the real doink at house shows. Steve Lombardi, Pat Patterson's buddy, was also doink at house shows and dressed as doink for various WWE appearances. Ray Apollo, sorry, it's not Otis Apollo. Ray Apollo wrestled as doink after Matt Osborne left the company. Dusty Wolf wrestled as doink. I interviewed Dusty Wolf. That never came up. Mark Starr wrestled as doink at one point. Ace Darling wrestled as doink. Nick Dinsmore wrestled as doink at the 2003 SmackDown against Chris Benoit. There's some trivia for you. Chris Benoit actually wrestled doink. Jeff Jarrett once dressed as doink to pull a prank on Dink. Men on a Mission and the Bushwhacker wrestled as the Four Doinks at the 93 Survivor Series. And wow, Chris Jericho himself even was doink once in 2003 when he ambushed, or sorry, maybe it wasn't 2003. At one point, he dressed up as doink to ambush William Regal. So Chris Jericho, who John Paz and I collaborate on some interviews, he gave me that Chris Jericho interview to put up on this channel, which I listened to, and I didn't mind. Didn't mind. So if you're a Jericho fan, I'm pretty sure you'll like it. My favorite Chris Jericho was the WCW one, when it seemed like he was really fighting for his relevancy and was putting out a great effort and really stood out. There is a good example that we always hear these people that never got any opportunities. Like we'll always hear about, and I'm a fan of Kurt Hennig, but Kurt Hennig's son, someone told me just last weekend, oh, he never had any opportunities. Well, wasn't he in WWE for like 10 years plus? Or even Tyler Breeze, wasn't he in WWE for like 11 years? Jericho wasn't given an opportunity in WCW, and he made his own opportunities. So sometimes you got to make your own opportunities. If you just do what you're told and follow the quote unquote script and never try and break out, there you might ruffle a few feathers, but it'll happen. And as Jericho mentions in that interview with John Paz, Goldberg didn't really like the stuff that Jericho was doing with him. That's why they never wrestled in WCW. They didn't wrestle until WWE because he was ruffling feathers. People were pissed off at him that he was becoming a star, and people didn't want him to be a star because that's the way the wrestling business is. Hannibal says that Hennig's son had ample opportunities. I think anytime they give people multiple gimmicks, and again, I'm not hating on him. I actually hope that he doesn't. I hope he actually comes up with something that really works for him and comes back into wrestling, because I do like him, actually. I like that family. I've met the daughter. I actually went out with the daughter once, but there was a group of us, and I did like the gargling the whiskey shot with the daughter. Mike D tips me $2 and says, I'm the best. Goldberg is actually under contract with WWE, and I think he has one more match on his contract for this year. So we'll call it a night at that. Have a great evening. Thanks for all the support.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and click the subscribe button to not miss any of our latest shoot interviews, match videos, or news updates. Support us on patreon.com for